Hello everyone, what's good? I just wanted to put out this video. I wanted to do something more edited, but I thought some commentary would be good. For one, because editing takes way too much of my fucking time, and two, I just wanted to get this out as early as possible because Maris is leaving in a couple of days. But yeah, I'm just going over my relics right now, and this will be one of my runs that I did most recently. I do a lot of Duchess runs in general, but I think she's been pretty underrepresented and pretty underrated for this fight. So I just wanted to do a little showcase for her and do her justice. Hope you enjoy and hope you take something away from this video. Thank you. Um, I haven't really run this fight with anyone else yet. I found Duchess to be the best character, and I'll go into a little bit of why when we get to the actual boss fight. But to start off, I'm running the Caligo relic. I also run the post damage partial HP restoration relic. I just think it just synergizes so well with Duchess, and I also run the Evergel relic. I think having the 5% damage increase per Evergel is just insanely good overall, no matter what. I don't have really good camp RNG when it comes to spawning out in this run. You'll see that I didn't get the small camp on spawn. I just get the church. It's no big deal. But ideally, of course, with any run in general, whether it's like solo trios or duos, you need to get to level 2. So I go ahead and just kill out some mobs, get to level 2. It's the big thing. You'll see that the invisibility coming in from Caligo's Relic a lot. I really love this Relic a lot for solo runs. Something about the invisibility just plays so well for ganking. And in general, I like running Frost or Bleed on starting weapon. It lets you take on it lets you take on like higher level fights a little easier, and I'm pretty cocky when it comes to that. So having that avenue for damage is really invaluable. When it comes to rises, they're okay to stop by. I guess to go over my general routing, and I like to hit up surrounding areas to get to level 3, and then as soon as I'm level 3, I'll hit an Evergel. Level 4 is ideal too, but level 3 is good enough for me. I'll hit up an Evergel. You can see that right now I'm trying to find out just another POI to get to level 3. Actually, this seed was the same thing I had in my prior run, so I knew there was a Magic Ruins here. Funnily enough, in my last run, I died here. It was actually pretty suboptimal, but I chose this run because it was cleaner. I think the fight was cleaner, and I think the run itself was cleaner. But yeah, essentially the initial goal when you're running the Evergel Relic is getting to level 3 and level 4, and that'll give you a pretty comfortable fight for the very first Evergel, I think. As for Elemental Ruins and like priority of POIs, I think I like Elemental Ruins. They're really easy to clear. If you know what boss you're going up against based on the elements, you can make your own decision in that department, but they're decent. I don't really like the mausoleums very much. I'm not a big fan of fighting the giant furnace giants. I think that's what they're called. I'm not too sure. I'm not a really big fan of fighting them in general. I mean, it is Duchess at the end of the day. I think if I've ran them with Guardian and like Raider, and they go down pretty easily, but with Duchess it just takes way too long. And the sacred ones, what's it, like the bubble blowing ones, they fuck my shit up. I've died to them a couple of times, funny enough. So I don't mess with the mausoleums. I like to do some ruins. I like to do like a like a madness giant just to get to level 3. Again, the idea is to get to level 3 first, and then we can tackle on the Evergel, and we can start basically snowballing from there. As for whether or not to take lightning for Everdark Maris, you'll see in a little bit that the element we take into the fight doesn't really matter very much. It's more important to just secure and make the run go smoothly, and ensure that your passives are good. To get a little bit into what passives we're looking out for, when it comes to Everdark Maris, we are mainly scouting for damage mitigation, and FB and HP recovery is okay. It's decent. It's nothing too spectacular. It doesn't hurt to have, but I think damage mitigation is definitely the big one. The reason being is damage mitigation at full HP is just good in general, especially if you're playing Duchess. It just prevents one-shots. And the big one that I like, although I love consecutive attacks a lot, it doesn't play very well into the Maris fight. I really like taking damage gives you damage negation. I think that's the biggest one for me. And the reason being is because Maris does so much chip damage that you're going to end up taking some damage, and having that mitigation is just necessary. Now, what the fuck? I swear, man, my brain turns off when it comes to games. Again, this is the big. I love having the invisibility here. You can just kind of weave in and out and disengage whenever you want. You know, I don't really like this. I don't like this Evergel fight. It's not a very clean. It's not a very clean fight. Ideally, you'd want a Omen or like a Crucible Knight. So this just sucks. The worst one to get by far, I think, is Crystallians. If you get Crystallians against, I mean, with Duchess, I mean, you're kind of fucked. These are not too bad. These are not too bad. And then after this Evergel, we should get to level 5 or level 6. Again, the big thing about Evergels is that not only do you get the little passive damage buff because you're running that relic, you are also getting an insane amount of runes. You can almost always take the extra runes and you'll be fine. Yep, level 5. And the next point of interest should be the castle, if I remember right. We're stopping by this, so you can stop by like castles and ruins, the mini ones, to get more stone sword keys. They have a pretty high chance of dropping them in the little chests, but aside from that, our focus is going to be either the center castle or the Evergel. In terms of castle bosses, I like this one a lot, the Abductor Virgin. It's really, really easy to take down. It has like next to no health. Crystallians is my least favorite. Again, I just don't like fighting Crystallians. And then I'm okay with the Furnace Giants. Not too big. I definitely prefer having this. And then the Knights are really easy. The Knights are super, super easy. I can talk a little bit about the Shifted Earth as well. I think when you're doing Everdark Maris, obviously Crater's not going to be very good. Crater, the entire point you take that Shifting Earth is to upgrade a weapon to legendary status. I can't believe I got hit by it. Oh, wow. Oh my god. Yeah. Peak Duchess player. Bloodborne player, by the way. Anyways, as I was saying, I don't like taking Crater for obvious reasons. In the Maris fight, you are going to be using a weapon entirely separate from what your build is built around. And, oh yeah, Shattering. We'll talk about this staff in a little bit. So having the entire point of the Crater is to upgrade one of your weapons to legendary, and you're not going to be using that weapon in the fight as is. I mean, there's an argument to be made that it makes your run smoother, but you're spending the entirety of day 2 in the Crater, and you're only just coming out with a legendary weapon like as soon as the second ring starts closing, so you won't even get that much of a chance to use it. It's just kind of a waste overall. I guess it gives good runes, but I mean, every Shifting Earth does. Mountaintops, I really don't need to say too much. Frostbite resistance, not too helpful. I'm sure it'll be nice when we get Everdark Caligo in a few weeks, but it's just not very useful. The two ones of interest, and the one I prefer is Woods, and then Noclateo is pretty good too. Woods is good because it gives you increased max HP and the rally. The rally is not really that important. I just like having it. But the max HP is important. As you'll see, Maris is a question of sustain first and damage second. And then Noclateo obviously gives you the extra life, which is very, very good. Actually, I think it scales better if you're running a trios or a duos, more so than the Woods. But for solo runs, I like Woods. I just think it's easier to clear the boss rush overall, especially if you're proficient with the bosses and the Woods. About Shattering Crystal, there's a couple of weapons that are really good on Duchess, and there's a couple of spells that really synergize especially well. And Shattering Crystal is really good to bring in different matchups. The way it works is like a 12-gauge shotgun, really. You just kind of point blank shoot it, and it does a lot of damage. It kind of melts anything that's like a dragon or a worm. You'll see me spam it a lot in this run in particular. But yeah, Shattering Crystal is a really big win for this run. I also had it in the last run, but it didn't go so well. I still ended up beating Maris, so I hope that proves the point that, you know, no matter how bad the run goes, you can still end up beating this boss if you follow a set amount of tactics. For Castle, I like Crucible Knights the best for solo. You can just farm them for easy runes. You know, pop the rune bushes or pop a golden pickle foulfoot? I think that's what it's called. And you can just get a shit ton of runes. They're also really easy to frostbite. they're just really easy enemies overall. If you're wilder, you can parry them too. Yeah, it's a really good RNG to have Crucible Knights here. If it's trolls, just give up. I don't like fighting them ever. And then the Banished Knights are okay. They're decent. I think in this run, the basement boss is the Executioner dude. What's his name? The Elmer of the Briar. That's his Elden Ring name, but that's not going to be worth it to fight in this situation. He's just going to take way too long. You can see I'm not doing the most damage against the Crystal Knight until I put in some Shattering Crystal. Again, the thing is like a 12 gauge shotgun. It does so much damage. It does not do this much damage in base Elden Ring. We don't get very lucky at the drops, but you'll see that the passive I pick has to do with Flask HP restoration. In general, you should always go for increased HP, increased Flask stuff, anything like that when you're fighting Maris. Actually, even later down the line, you'll see that I take the slow, the gradual restoration. That's really, really good, actually. This is one of the few fights that upgrade is particularly good in. I actually really like the upgrade in general. I don't get the bad rep around it. I like having it. But yeah, anything that increases your SP restoration or HP in general, you take. Absolutely, you take. Yeah, you're gonna see that. I book it the other way. Yeah, I ain't fucking with that. It's just way. It's not even like that hard of a boss. It's just way too tanky and it takes too much time. It's more rune efficient to just take the other Crystal Knights. I don't like to fight the rooftop boss very often. As a matter of fact, I think I've done it once. I think I did it a singular time in my solo runs. Normally, I never do it. So in general, it's better to just farm the Crucible Knights for the rest of day 1 and take your guaranteed runes. You can see we're already at level 9. It's pretty good. As a good ballpark for the levels, if you're not into like very risky routing, you can get to level 7, level 6 pretty easily, and that's just fine. Like level 6, level 7, day 1 is like really, really good. That's where I used to be when I was starting out solo runs way back on like launch. And nowadays, you can see I typically hit level 9 to level 10. That's my standard. If you're at that point, you're kind of ahead. But what the main benefit is that it lets you start the forest really early in day 2. You can kind of go and just swing in. Damage negation. Yeah, we take that. Yeah, we take that. I was uncertain. Yeah, you want to take damage negation again. Anything that gives you damage negation, really, really good. You can see that I have the bubble up from the consecutive damage negation. Blessing. Again, it's not going to be relevant in the Maris fight, but it's relevant for the run, and having it is just really, really nice QOL. Shattering Crystal spam. Good gameplay. I think in terms of the day bosses, Smelter is the one I've been getting the most, and Smelter is pretty easy. If you didn't know already, you can actually Frostbite Smelter. I know it doesn't seem very apparent, but yes, you can run a Frostbite build against him, and it kind of melts him. Yeah, this is a really good blessing. Damn, that's good RNG. Yeah, Smelter can be frostbitten, and that's mainly how I take him down. What the fuck? I didn't know that they could drop a purple. And then for day 2, I think I've been getting nothing but Godskin Noble actually. I think it might have to do with the Rotted Woods, but I've been getting nothing but Godskin Noble. We'll talk about Godskin Noble more in detail when we get to them, but just needless to say, I'm not the biggest fan of Godskin. When you are running away from the ring in this situation, to min-max if you wanted to, I guess. Yeah, so you can see that over here to min-max, you can kill some trash mobs along the way. If you have nothing else to do. Like if you don't have a church to pick up or if you don't have a rise to unlock, you can just kill some trash mobs along the way and grab those extra runes. Make sure you always go for talismans. I think I missed this one actually. Yeah, I do. Make sure to go to talismans. You always want those 2 slots occupied. Again, it's not the end of the world if you don't, but it's guaranteed upgrades. You should absolutely take them. I think over here it's just a straight shot to the... Yeah, it's just straight shot to this. Yeah. This is Smelter Demon. You can see Shattering Crystal again, put it in the work. Already half of its HP gone. By the by, I do take, on my relics, I do take FP Restoration on dagger attacks. You're going to see it very, very slightly, but it becomes a little relevant when you're spamming like dagger stuff. I mean, yeah, I can barely even notice it in the footage right now. Again, this is not really a very difficult boss. I mean, if you play Dark Souls 2, Blue Smelter is really harder. It's like harder than this. Not even to mention the run back. If you know, you know. Wow, I poised that? What the fuck? You can see that it gets frostbitten. Yeah, I didn't know about this until I think a few weeks ago. I tested it out for the fuck of it, and I was like, well, I guess it works. Again, pretty straightforward combos. I mean, it does the 3 swipe right here. If you go behind it, it won't do the slime down. And it just walks around a lot. It gives you a lot of space to work with. The big thing is that it just does damage over time. So what you can do is you can put a warming stone down if it's really hurting you. But overall, Smelter is not really that aggressive, and he's pretty easy. I don't foresee any difficulty in solo. I think it's pretty nice. And again, if you take the Calico Relic, it's guaranteed Frostbite against Smelter. I'm sorry, this is not engaging whatsoever, huh? Again, Smelter's really not that hard. There's not too much I can comment on. Oh yeah, don't get hit by the phase change at least. When he does get to phase 3, he does do slightly increased DT damage, but yeah, important to note is whenever you poise break him, if you haven't already killed him, whenever you poise break him, it resets his fire. So that's one way you could go about sustaining him. Again, yeah, this is the gradual restoration by Flask. I take this all day if I'm in solo. I know people hate this Flask upgrade, but for Maris, it's really, really good. The reason being is because, actually, this wasn't translated before the patch, but now you'll be able to read that it increases the amount of HP restored by your Flask. And again, as I said earlier, anytime we can get our Flask to heal more in Maris, it's golden. We're chilling. I think... What am I doing here? I think I'm running towards the last church. Or... Yeah, I think I am. Am I? Yeah. So, another thing about Maris is that you should... Well, this is something you should prioritize in every run, period. But you should absolutely prioritize getting all the churches if you can. Sometimes you will have 4 churches on your map instead of the regular 3. And it's very important that you get all the churches. Again, this is a fight of sustain. You'll end up seeing that it's really not a very mechanically complex fight. This is not like Soul Level 1 Gale or like Soul Level 1 Orphan difficulty. Its difficulty mainly comes from the fact that it just hits way too often and can hit very hard too. And your resource is really just your health, as well as your FP. But again, anything to get you more tanky, to get you to take in more hits, we want that for sure. What am I doing here? What? Oh, I know why I did that. I know why I did that. We'll talk about it. I wanted 10k runes, and the reason being is because in certain, I'm sure you've seen this already in a couple of your runs, but for those who are not aware, if you get good RNG, you'll get the special merchant to spawn, and this merchant is guaranteed to sell Wending Grace if you're in solo. And you might be asking, well, we can already buy a Wending Grace globally from any merchant. This one actually has a separate inventory, so you are able to buy up to 2 Wending Graces if you get the special merchant, which is really, really good. Again, anything to give us more sustain against Maris is going to be golden. And I think I just hit the last church here. Nothing too impressive. And then after this, my plan for day 2 is to hit the woods as fast as possible. Yeah, so I'm gonna hit the last 2 churches. I actually get really lucky in this run, and I get the 4 churches on map, which is pretty good. At least I think I do. Pretty sure I do, yeah. So I'm gonna have 8 heals by the end of the day. And then we want to make sure we get all these heals. As for the woods, I know people route pretty differently based on if they have prior experience with the woods. The thing with the woods is that the secret can spawn in only 3 locations, and it's possible you can just skip the clue phase. So I guess if this is your first time watching the woods in action. The way the Rotted Woods work is you have the little flag on the map, and that flag will clue you in. If you go to it, it's like a fort, and there's a map there. If you interact with the map, it'll expose the secret of the forest in the actual woods, which can spawn in one of 3 locations, and they're predetermined. So you have 2 options when it comes to finding that secret. You can either check each location individually if you're sweaty as fuck, or you can just be a normal person and go get the clue, as I do. I've done both. I just prefer taking the clue, to be honest. I just think it's more consistent, and really it doesn't waste much time. I mean, I know there's the argument that, oh, you gotta optimize. I mean, this game is really not that hard that you need to optimize everything. I really hope that's like the general perception I give off. As you can see, I'm kind of hovering over the 3 locations right now, actually. But this game is really not that hard that you need to optimize your runs. You can definitely get by with just basic clears. I think Yaoi did a really good, he did a really, really good clear way back in launch. And it was only doing ruins and taking guaranteed level ups. And yeah, that's a really good run to reference if you're looking for a safer clear. Again, we're just going for the clue. Again, no need to sweat it out. Literally just put the fries in the bag. Just take the clue. One more thing is that you actually don't need to kill the knight up in the fort. A lot of people will be like, hey, the knight wastes so much time. First off, it doesn't. It has like no HP. And second off, you don't need to kill it. You can actually run past it and interact with the map. So again, I'm a big fan of heading to the fort and grabbing this clue. But, to each their own. I just like having this consistency. And there's also the benefit that this guy actually drops a rot weapon, like guaranteed every time. So that can be good. For Maris, actually, it's for Maris. We can talk about it in a little bit, but actually, rot's quite relevant for Maris. And then to make good time on day 2, ideally you want to have this clue obtained as soon as the ring closes. That'll give you a lot of time to absolutely like rush through the forest. And the reason I pick Forest is just because the routing is really easy. You can do Knuckle Tail. I'm not very confident with Knuckle Tail. The issue is you need to be very good with Estelle specifically. And with Forest, I'm more familiar with the bosses here. I just feel like I've optimized them better. But again, Knuckle Tail is perfectly fine. If you're able to do it, absolutely good for you. You're the better person than me. Unfortunately, we do get this long spawn for the clue. For the secret, I'm sorry. The ideal spawn is the secret goes next to the fort, so there's an area a little to the south of where I am right now that the secret can spawn in. That's the ideal spot you want. This one's kind of a pain in the ass. The reason being is you can see that centipede guy over there. I've aggroed him multiple times on my way here, and he will absolutely fuck your shit up. He will absolutely fuck your shit up. In terms of the bosses that I like to fight in the woods, so I will list my top 3. Number 1, I really like the worm. If I can get him down first, he's really, really easy. Especially with Shattering Crystal, he gets absolutely destroyed. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a reason why I don't aggro these centipede guys. You can see I go out of my way to kill this guy, but I utterly fail at parkour. So it takes me like 2 minutes to get up here. I like Worm the best. Worm is really easy, the lava worm guy. He poise breaks extremely easily. In general, good very first fight. You can bleed him, you can frost him. He's easy. Second is actually this guy. So Erdtree Avatar. Very simple moveset. If you've literally played Dark Souls 3 or Dark Souls 1, you know Asylum Demon already. This is a very easy boss in terms of moveset. It's also it's not bleedable, but honestly, I think it's relatively squishy compared to the other bosses in the forest. And also really easy to poise break too. And then lastly, I actually, this is going to sound a little controversial, but I actually do like fighting the Erdtree Lizard. The guy that goes like absolutely batshit insane. I actually like fighting him. Again, he can frostbite, he can bleed. And in general, his attacks, while they do hit hard, they're very like rare, and most of the time he just spams his breath, which gives you a very good opening. I'm not sure if I fight him in this run. Again, the poise break in action, and you can see Crystal, Shattering Crystal doing a lot of damage. I'm not sure if I fight him in this run. We'll have to see. And then, as for some honorable mentions, Tree Sentinels are really, really easy. Again, if you played Elden Ring, I mean, you know Tree Sentinel by now. You've fought him a million times. He's pretty easy, but his damage can get out of hand if you let him snowball. Especially with the shield hitbox. Oh my god. The shield hitbox. fuck that move. The Draconic one, I'm not a big fan of. I'm just going to say it out loud. I'm not really a big fan of fighting that thing. It does a lot of damage against Duchess. So I would choose not to fight it. That and Gargo are the two bosses I just kind of run the other direction for. And then, Loretta. Loretta's okay. I put her in the same tier as Tree Sentinel. It's like I'll fight it if there's nothing better. Deathbird's okay. Then the Guardian Deer, the Ancestral Guardian, I will typically only fight it if I'm doing a strength build, with Raider or Guardian, or like I'm power sensing greatswords on like Wilder. It has such low poise that I can pretty much snowball it, but with Duchess, it's just really hard to hit. Yeah, again, I take Tree Sentinel on here. I'm totally fine to take this boss on. It's really, really easy. Unfortunately, Crystal doesn't do too much damage against smaller targets, so you're not going to see it like shine as much, but it's still, again, for a Duchess, it's one of the better spells. And it's just important to have a spell as a Duchess. It's your best source of damage. I'm not quite sure why I don't Frostbite here. Interesting. I thought I would have right now. I guess not. Yeah, there's the Shattering Crystal damage. Again, if you can line that up, it does a lot of damage. If nothing else, if you don't take anything else away from this video, at least take away the fact that Shattering Crystal is broken as all hell. Also, one more thing to note is when the circle does start to close during the final day, or rather, yeah, when the second circle begins to close, you actually have a lot of time to clean up whatever boss you're on, as well as to farm some like trash mobs along the way. So if you still feel like you're short on runes, you can, wander a little bit. Wow, I got a Wending Grace here. I think I take it. Yeah, I do. If you have any trash mobs that are left around, you should absolutely be killing them on your way to the final day 2 boss. You'll see what I mean when the circle closes. Again, I'm just going after all the bosses. There's really nothing too complex when it comes to woods. It really just kind of plays itself. You should be looting these corpses, by the way. There's a couple of times I've had like blue and purple weapons drop from them. It's actually quite surprising. I had the Celeria Tree Spear drop from it one time, and it kind of saved my run. And again, the trash mobs do give a lot of runes, so if you need any like pocket change, you can absolutely kill them. I go for Loretta here, huh? Okay, I guess I don't fight the worm or the lizard. I'm full of shit. Loretta's pretty easy. Again, really easy to stance break. The big thing is that her triple arrow. I know in base Elden Ring that thing sucked to dodge. In this, it's not too bad. The really big hazard move is the magic halberd. That thing, I think it can true combo. If it hits you right, and it melts your HP bar. It melts you up. Oh, unfortunately, I don't have too much time to do a. Yeah, I think I'm only able to kill Loretta, and then that's 3 great enemies. Yeah, this move fucks you up. By the by, if you do 3 great enemies, that's more than enough. Honestly, you can probably get by with 2. As you can see, I'm level 13 right now, and jeez, this move stresses me out just by watching it. Yeah, if you can get 2, that's fine. 3 is ideally where I like to be, and then 4 is like if I'm on a really good run and if I'm optimizing. 4 is like, I'm on my game. And I've never been able to do 5. I'm not that good of a player. Ugh. Yeah, if it weren't for the that's through like a bunch of damage negation, by the way. You can already see it did like a good chunk of my HP. God, bro, that move really scares me. Oh, I also forgot. I don't like to fight Executioner is actually not too bad here. In the forest, he's just really tanky, and his poise health, his posture, what poise health? His posture is just really, really tanky. I was fighting him with Raider not even actually too long ago, and I was only able to get 1 stance break, and he never staggers, so he's just not a very fun boss, and I think his scaling is absolutely... There's something wrong with the scaling. It's like he receives less damage, and his poise health is... Poise health, at that again. His posture is just crazy. And so as you can see, as I'm making my way to the final boss arena or the final ring, I'm killing a bunch of trash mobs along the way. Again, I want that pocket change, either to get to level 15 or just to have it to buy some things from the final merchant. And I'm checking the corpses, checking if there's anything good. If you didn't know, you can press triangle and up on the D-pad to insta-use items on the ground. Yep, just kill more trash mobs. Getting as many runes as possible. Starfists. You know, I'm actually not quite sure what weapon I... Oh, it's the gold. Yeah, it's this golden thing. Really, the main weapon of this run has been Shattering Crystal, though. There's a couple of good weapons that you can use. So, like, if you get Eleanor's Pole Blade or, like, a Moon Veil, like, they're pretty much good run setters, but, yeah, Duchess is pretty good overall with most things. I know her dex scaling is not the best, and I know most people would be like, you know, she has got B scaling in dex. I think she does. But really, I mean, she can make use of it just fine. She's a really interesting character. I like building Bleed and Frost on her, specifically, but that's just me. Again, I'm looking out for trash mobs, but I think at this point, it's just time to wrap it up. You can see that my damage bonus from the Evergales is kind of playing a big effect. I'm kind of two-shotting all the mobs. I also don't take much damage in return. Again, the damage mitigation that we got earlier. Again, Shattering Crystal, MVP. Yeah, this is Godskin Noble, so this fight's not my favorite. And I said I was gonna talk about it earlier, and I guess I can talk about it now in more detail. The reason I don't like this fight very much in solo is because the way solo aggro works in Nightreign, typically in gang fights, is one mob will attack you and the other mobs will like kind of stay behind. It's very much like Demon Princess if you played Dark Souls 3. Godskin Nobles do not work like that, and the reason being is because they did not work like that in base Elden Ring. The fight was more so one guy attacks you and the other guy spams fireballs, and it's mostly unchanged in Nightreign. And for that reason alone, I don't like this boss. The idea behind... Actually, I don't even know this guy's moveset very well. But the main idea is that you should laser down the fat guy first, and then deal with the skinny guy. I'm not sure why he didn't do his slam move. So typically he does do a slam move. He'll like hop in the air and then slam down after a really big delay. And that's his best punish window. Sometimes he can do the rollout. You just leave him, let him be. At the end of the rollout, he will do a giant explosion, and then you can punish him for 1 or 2 R1s after. But yeah, you leave him alone if he does that move. Excuse me. Yeah, this move. You're going to see that I don't really mess with him when it comes to this move. I have really bad PTSD from Elden Ring when it comes to fighting this dude. So yeah, he'll do an explosion, and then you want to come in, do a quick R1 or something of your choice, and get out. Unless you're me, I guess. There it is. Yeah, unfortunately I don't have FP here, so I can't spam my Shattering Crystal. I have to rely on my skills. And yeah, again, this guy's really, really easy. I think he's much easier than Noble. Yeah. Actually, I had no idea they had separate names. I thought they were both called Godskin Nobles. Interesting. Yeah, this guy, you can see this guy's health kind of evaporates, and he gives you a lot of opportunities to attack him, unlike the Noble. I did not know that was a grab attack. I still don't think it is. What? That's a command grab. I guess it is. Yeah, this guy goes on really easily. It's mainly the Noble that's the big problem, and if you're able to laser him down, you should be able to get through this fight just fine. One thing that's worth doing at this final ring, another Wending Grace. Man, I'm not gonna lose this run, am I? One final thing that's worth doing if you're low on runes is you can investigate the outer parts of the circle after it's closed. So I'm sure you've seen, like, you know, you can survive outside in the ring for like 2 minutes. It's obviously worth checking out if you have any like unkilled mobs on the outside. You can like quickly like kill them real quick. The reason I don't do it in this run is because I'm already level 15 and there's no point. I have 90,000 runes. But yeah, as I said earlier, you really don't need to kill more than 3 great enemies. By then you're just you're gonna be swimming in runes. I think 2 is more than enough. 2 should be definitely fine. So you'll see what I do here is some overflowing on runes I pre-buff myself. Oh man, I'm such a tryhard. It's definitely not necessary. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do this. But anyways, now that we're actually at Everdark Maris, I can actually talk a little bit about the fight itself. I know, it only took me like 35 minutes to get to it. I'm sorry for the long run. Okay, so importantly, Phase 1 is like, think about it like Radagon and Elden Beast. It's a phase where you don't want to get hit very often. Ideally, you don't want to get hit at all. This Phase 1 is not very complex anyways. All it has are 2 moves. It's this one with the double wave, and then it has a whirlwind around it that it summons, which that's the dangerous one. If it does that, you want to move away. And that's it. Just don't get hit. That's the big thing. You want to save your heals for Phase 2. If you have any spells, like as I do here, you should absolutely spam them. You don't need to worry about FP. The reason being is because the Ash of War on the Storm Ruler that you get in Phase 2 will regen your FP. So yeah, again, you want to get done with this phase as quick as possible, and the important thing is don't get hit. Now we're able to regen our FP with Storm Ruler. And this is where the fight kind of comes into question. I've seen a lot of debate online, and on launch it's like, you know, hey, always charge your Storm Ruler, never uncharge it. The answer is that it's much more complicated than that. You're going to see that initially I full charge it to... Wow, that did no damage. Why did they do no damage? So normally you're able to full charge Storm Ruler there and regen all your FP and get a free hit. I'm not sure why they didn't do any damage. Now the full charge is nice if you have a good opening. But I think if you spam the light version, which you saw I did there, I think it ends up doing more DPS in the long run. I'm not too sure. But still, the full charge one is ideally what you should go for if he's standing still. Now about these bubbles. You have 2 options. You can either run away and dodge at the right time, which is riskier. I've taken much more chip damage that way. Or what you can do is you can light attack in their trajectory or whenever they land, and it'll like make them dissipate. You'll see that I don't really get hit by the bubbles at all by doing this. The one drawback is this eats away at your FP, so if you're not playing a very FP heavy character, this can be bad, and it also eats away at your stamina. About this laser, I can't believe I got hit by that. About this laser, it's actually pretty easy to dodge. There's a couple ways you can dodge this. You can run sideways, or search sprint sideways, and dodge at the last second. It'll get you out of the radius of attack. You can also, the visual cue is, wow. I don't remember dying there. I can't believe I didn't dodge that. And I'm so bad. Back to the laser, the visual cue is the explosion. When you see the explosion, not the laser. When you see the explosion, that's when you dodge. About this sleep DOT move, the sleep bomb move, it's not an issue in solos. You always just full charge your Storm Ruler and press it. And it'll just knock him out in solos regardless, every time. In trios and duos, it's obviously more complicated. And I think that's where the move is mainly more threatening. One more thing about the Storm Ruler. When you're full charger right here, right, you can actually keep that charge. You're not forced to unleash it immediately. So it can be nice if like you have the full charge, but you don't have the time to get it off. You can keep that charge. Again, it works like Dark Souls 3 if you played that. The thing with the orb phase, there's a couple of ways you can go about this. It's not really incentivized to spam the full charge Storm Ruler. The reason being is because the orbs can actually absorb all the damage. It's happened to me numerous times where I'll full charge Storm Ruler and I'm expecting a big chunk of damage, but instead the orb actually eats it. Now the orb gets destroyed, but it's actually better to just hit it with the light attack. You're going to see that I'm going to start light attacking a lot more often when it comes to orb phase. And that's not to say that the full charge is useless. You can absolutely go for it, like right here, if you have a good opening. But you should ideally, your main priority is to light attack the orbs. They will die in one hit. And if you break all of them, you're going to see that we'll get a stagger, which is really important to give us some breathing room and also to give us some damage. Again, here's a sleep bomb. We're just going to full charge, and you're going to see that my damage gets... Yeah, so my damage actually gets absorbed by the orb. That's why we don't full charge typically. Again, if you get a good opening, you full charge it, and if it just bubbles, you light spam. By the way, as this is pretty unique to Duchess, but her ult actually gets you a free hit of Storm Ruler. Normally Augur doesn't stay very still, unless you turn invisible. He starts like straying around. Now it's pretty funny because Duchess's ult is actually pretty bad in most fights when it comes to soloing. This is the one fight it's actually really good in. So you'll see that it gave me a free hit because of that aggro loss. Another thing about Duchess's restage is it actually only restages damage in an area around her. So it's actually not worth doing for the most part unless like Augur's flying above you, or let's say you're in this knockdown. Let's say you're really close to it. That's the only time it's worth restaging. Again, since we killed all the orbs, it's knocked down. This is our biggest damage window. As for whether it's better to light attack spam or to full charge spam, I'm not really sure. About this wave move, you can actually get really unlucky and have it spawn the waves on top of you. I think this happens, actually, later in this fight. But the way to avoid it is to just run around it. Yeah, you just sprint sideways, run around it. You can also dodge through it in a pinch, and it'll do less damage. But again, ideally, if you don't want to lose any health, you run around it. I'm just light attacking spam. I just light attack spam here to get some damage in. Again, dodge the lasers correctly. Another thing too to note is, oh wow. Another thing to note is the full charge Storm Ruler can actually deflect the orb lasers if you time it right. I don't think I do it. I don't think I showed off in this fight, though. Oh yeah, there it is, yeah. So if you time it right, it'll actually deflect the lasers, and that'll get rid of that. And for this move, I didn't talk about earlier, but you just dodge through. The only reason I'm getting hit by it is because I'm bad. The best time to hit the orbs, by the way, is when he's... So you'll see, again, he spawns the wave right on top of me. Really unlucky, but if he does this, just run through it. You can take the damage. Wow. Yeah, I'm like... I'm 0 for 7 in dodging that. The best time to hit these orbs is typically when he's right above you, and when he's not doing these waves, ideally, because that's when he's like less likely to move very drastically. Again, yeah, right here you'll see I'll just spam the hell out of my weapon art. Again, I want to break those orbs. That's my main priority. By the way, I still have like I think I still have like 4 revives, and I still have 4 flasks left, so we're in pretty good shape. Another neat trick I guess I can mention right here, with any character's ult, so this is mainly relevant for trios and duos when you're dealing with a sleep bomb. And this actually goes for any status effect, like, the madness thing from Libra. When it does a sleep bomb and when it like fully unleashes it, you'll notice it because the sleep bar will start to build up really fast. You can actually ult in the middle of that, just before your sleep like procs. And it will actually like kind of make you immune to the sleep proc and also... outlast the sleep damage over time. And so it's nice in a pinch, like let's say your trios was not like coordinating and you weren't able to stagger Maris and it gets the bomb off, you can like ult in a pinch and it'll give you a second chance at life essentially. I've done it before in duos, but it's just a neat little trick. And you can also do this with Libra too. Again, we're just gonna spam light attack for these bubbles. We're not gonna worry about hitting Maris yet. We're just waiting for him to stand still. I do ult here. I think I ult here, yeah. So I ran out of stamina here, so I just choose to ult for the iframes. And it also gives me a free hit. You'll see again, yeah, Augur's just going to walk around, and I'm going to get my fully charged Storm Ruler in. And it does a lot of damage. And then now the fight's as good as done. I just need one more hit. I just need one more hit. There we go. And you'll still see we have a lot of heals still left on the table. But yeah, that's Everdark Maris. That's the full run. I do have some more suboptimal run if you'd like to see that, so let me know in the comments. But yeah, thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.